And we are back. I am back. It's 2025 and school is in session. This is Think with Serena. This is going to be such a fabulous year. I know it. And this is going to be the place for you to get your really wonderful niche strategic thinking, systems thinking, critical thinking content for your life as a student or a leader or an entrepreneur. Why am I doing this? Well, as a middle-aged streamer in the content world, as well as being a chartered communications, public relations professional and a systems thinker also in my postgrad study, I have so much to offer you, not just in the world of communications and public relations and to be more strategic in your campaigns and your approach to your brand and your business, etc., but also as a postgrad student, as a content creator, as a leader within my own sphere of life, as the founder of a new interdisciplinary think tank, Parks House, there is so much I believe that needs to be taught, shared, passed on to curious, inquisitive minds, to those who are willing to put the work in to take their studies, their leadership, their entrepreneurship up many degrees, take it up many notches. And so that's what Think with Serena is dedicated to. And aside from these videos giving you all this value, which is what the plan is for 2025, you can do two things, which I'm so excited about. You can sign up to my site and get a completely free newsletter with amazing nuggets in it. And that newsletter will be available regularly as and when I have plenty of insights to share. I'm thinking around fortnightly, maybe even weekly. It's where I'm crystallizing a lot of my thoughts from my practice as a chartered communications professional, but also as a systems thinker as I move on with my studies, my postgrad studies, and also the things I'm learning as a content creator for on my YouTube channel, but also a media and politics commentator, and then entering this whole sphere of a think tank, an interdisciplinary think tank, where I'm bringing my creative, my artistic, as well as my academic sides together, and inviting other artists and academics to do exactly the same. So my newsletter will be jam packed with all of this wonderful stuff. Now, if you really want to get even more involved, this is what you can do. You can also you can join my Patreon membership community. So all of that is on offer. If you want to go for the deeper dive, you can join my Patreon community. So everything is available in the description of this relaunched Think with Serena video. Thank you so much if you've been subscribed. What are your challenges this year? I want to hear. What are the things that you are setting yourself as challenges, things that you want to achieve this year? I want to hear from you. Come in the comments. Let me know what you'd like me to cover. I'm here for you. So I am going to start with this video talking about the thing that we all face, and that is New Year's resolutions. I don't do them, but I tell you what I did do at least. Let's not be a complete and utter non-conformist. What I did do was I revisited my goals, my 6-month goals, which I had begun around sort of the October, November time. So it was going to sort of carry me over into 2025, ending sort of Q4 of 24-25. And the thing that I realized was something was getting in the way. The thing that was getting in the way of my multifaceted goals were the barriers to entry, the barriers. And when I'm talking about barriers, I'm talking about the barrier to get study done, the barrier to create that piece of content, the barrier to get glammed up and dressed for a video or for somewhere, the barrier to get into that piece of work, or to paint. There are so many physical or mental barriers that can get in our way for that essentially cause this gap between us and the thing that we want to accomplish. So, can you identify the barriers either in your workspace, your work life, your workflow, sorry, your workspace, your workflow, your actual environment, or even your mental environment? The barriers can also be thinking traps, ways of thinking that can be essentially hindering you from getting into the zone that you need to get into in order to achieve what you want to achieve, in order for you to do what you want to do. So, here are some examples of barriers. Barriers, oh, one of the barriers for me that I'm still working on were thinking traps or repetitive thinking patterns, which were leading me into sort of negative sort of feelings, and having more of a negative outlook. And I didn't want that. I didn't want any more of that. I found journal prompts help me, but not just any journal prompts, the more challenging. Why is that? You see, when we have questions from um, external people, external situations that sort of challenge us and rock us and even trigger us, it's wonderful because you get to question what you're doing and how you're doing it, how you're thinking and how you're thinking it. And so these sort of more challenging journal prompts will be wonderful for you if you want to get into journaling, or if you want to get into nudging yourself a little bit more, just nudging yourself out of your comfort zone, getting out of your own way, which is why I wanted to create this video and talk about barriers, because sometimes these barriers we set up ourselves and we don't realize that that's what we're doing or we've done, or perhaps we are aware that it's coming from a sort of a need for self-preservation and just to function, but functioning out of necessity because we're in survival mode versus functioning to thrive and achieve and accomplish. So we want to remove barriers to entry, barriers to get to the place that we want to go. And so thinking traps, repetitive negative thinking patterns need to be challenged. We need to challenge them. A journal prompt could be, what is a current belief or idea or opinion or a judgment that you're currently holding about yourself or someone else or a situation or your circumstances, which you think might be holding you back or producing negative results? Challenge yourself. Let yourself be triggered almost, just slightly. A physical barrier to entry for me was my workflow. Now, this setting, this sort of like set I have, is actually where I do my media and my politics commentary. So, this whole setup, the mic, my background, this whole desk, camera, lights, everything, I didn't want to use it for this channel or for my personal YouTube channel. Why is that? Well, because I didn't want to confuse the sort of branding or the visuals. I wanted there to be a separation. However, after spending some time over the sort of holiday period, I had some time to reflect. Very important to get that time. You know, you need those gaps in order to reflect. After I had that time, I found greater alignment in all the things I was doing. So actually, things felt much less sort of separate. So I thought all I need to do is create a new overlay. Overlay is the thing that says Think with Serena at the bottom, the sign up that's to do with my Patreon, and the subscribe that's to do with this channel. And right now it's a black box, and I will finesse it and I'll iterate on it. But right now it's a black box. This will be very different to the overlay that I have or any moving graphics I have for my streaming channel. And if I also use the same set for my personal YouTube channel, why is this? Well, it's because it's one less barrier for me to create. All I needed, all I needed was a new overlay, and now I'm back in the chair and I'm back in this spot and in the zone and able to create and share value. The barrier was me thinking I needed real separation, but also not having something to separate the visuals for my audience, especially if you follow me on more than one channel. So that was one really simple administrative thing. And so now, if you follow me on this channel, you will say, okay, well, yes, it's Serena in her chair at her mic with the same old plants and bookshelf behind her. However, it's, the overlay will simply tell us oh, that this is actually a video from that channel, rather than, from Serena Syed, which is my commentary channel, or Serena Holistic being my YouTube channel, even the podcast Life Vocabulary, which I produced and established in 2016, which will be having new content on it this year. And so that also will be within this sort of space. You see, when you want to provide value, provide it. Don't get in your own way by thinking, oh no, I need a different set, I need a different camera, I need a different background. There are simple, very simple administrative things you could do. This is an admin solution. And does it matter? The other thing is, the barrier can sometimes be us overthinking it. Now, as somebody who reflects a lot, who analyzes a lot, that is actually also my USP. It's a niche. It's my thing that I offer as a systems thinker, as a strategic consultant. That's something that actually is a strength, but it's a double-edged sword. And so you can end up overthinking something rather than just going ahead and creating. So barriers to entry. Let's go to the last possible thing that could be a barrier. A barrier could be if you are studying or researching or creating something that's taking some time to prepare and you're really having to get your head down, is an idea or an ideal that you are bogged down with. And that is a sort of a belief in the way you think the thing needs to be done, a method of study or a way of study or a setting of study, or you're supposed to be doing it this way at this place at this time. You've got to find your very own efficient, powerful, productive way of doing the thing that you need to do in order to get to the output and the outcome. The process and the method has to be yours. Having a sort of some ideal or some, formula which you're trying to adopt, which doesn't work for you, is a barrier for you to just get into it, do the work, and come out the other side. So there are so many ways. For instance, one of my ways recently is, rather than getting bogged down with my Speechify reading all my notes out for me, digitizing things, printing out, writing down loads of notes, copious notes, I've got this new method where, as I have my textbook, I also have these record cards, and these record cards are like flashcards. And what I'm doing is, as I see things and read things, I'm immediately writing a note about my reflection of that thing that I've read, and then how I could apply it immediately with an example. So I'm kind of doing that critical thing of forming a working knowledge rather than just parrot fashion. I can repeat what I've read here or what I've heard in a lecture. The idea is to try and apply what I'm learning and push my brain a little bit more so that I don't have to go over that thing again. And so it's really firmly embedded. And there's lots of people out there with excellent YouTube channels who talk about this method of study and reading and note taking, is that you need to go through a couple of steps of application for that thing to really get embedded. And this, I don't have to carry around a file. I don't have to need to carry around a folder, a binder. I have all of those things and I do use them. But this is fantastic because it feels much more accessible. One, two, three less barriers to entry. And actually, what's brilliant about these is that these notes that I'm taking, like this one's called layers of abstraction, data abstraction, ladder of abstraction. Um, these are so helpful for me when I come to write my assignments. But also, they're wonderful for me for video ideas. And some of these notes I've taken are actually me applying it as an idea for solving a client issue or a video topic subject suggestion, or something sort of that could apply to a messy situation in politics. So the barrier was, oh, I've got to sit and read for hours and hours and hours and write copious notes, and that was a barrier. I didn't want to get into that. Now I'm like, oh, okay, I've got 10-15 minutes. Let's open my book. Let's review some of this. Let's actually add to my working knowledge of stuff, and let's read another couple of paragraphs and see if there's something else I can pull out of it. Because as a postgraduate student, but as a professional, remember your perspective and how you see the joining of dots, how that works for you and how you can articulate that is what's required. And so that sort of challenge as you're consuming new material, doing the research, doing the study, you've got to show how you're crystallizing it and offering it to your audience, whoever your audience is. Listen, this is your video about removing barriers to entry. I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the comments. Welcome back. If you've already subscribed, if you're new, welcome. Please do subscribe. Remember, consider signing up. There's a link available. You can go straight to my site. There's lots of information there about my think tank and me, etc., etc. And also you can subscribe to this channel. You can join my Patreon. Again, more information on my Patreon membership is available in the description of this video. It's so wonderful to be back. It's an optimistic time because there's lots of challenges, lots of complexities, but we can produce much better outcomes with better ways of doing things, thinking, and provide more interesting solutions, I think, because we're doing our best to zoom out, take a step back. So let's do that together. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.